The Hollow Creek station had been abandoned for decades. Once a bustling hub for travelers and cargo, it now sat in eerie silence. Its cracked platforms overgrown with weeds and its iron rails rusting under layers of dust and time. But locals swore it wasn't entirely silent, not on certain nights. Jacob Mercer, a seasoned paranormal investigator, was no stranger to ghost stories. His blog, Chasing Shadows, had documented everything from haunted mansions to cursed artifacts. When he first heard about the Hollow Creek ghost train, he was skeptical. A ghost train that you can hear but never see? He had scoffed. But when multiple accounts surfaced, people claiming to hear the mournful whistle and the rumble of wheels on tracks long unused, Jacob's curiosity got the better of him. Armed with a flashlight, a digital recorder, and a thermal camera, he set off for the station on a bitterly cold winter night. Arrival at the station. The station loomed ahead like a specter, barely visible through the swirling fog. The surrounding woods whispered with the sound of wind brushing through skeletal branches. Jacob parked his car a safe distance away and approached on foot, his boots crunching on the frostbitten ground. He stepped onto the platform, the wood groaning beneath his weight. His flashlight swept across the remnants of the station. A ticket booth with shattered windows, rusting luggage carts, and benches covered in moss. In the distance, the skeletal remains of a water tower leaned precariously, its shadow stretching like a claw in the moonlight. "This place is a ghost town," Jacob muttered, setting up his equipment. The digital recorder blinked to life, capturing the ambient sounds. He activated the thermal camera, scanning for any heat signatures. Nothing. Just the biting cold of winter and the eerie quiet of the station. The whistle. At exactly 11:47 p.m., it began. A faint whistle echoed through the air. Jacob froze, his breath visible in the frigid night. The sound was distant, almost imperceptible at first. But as the minutes passed, it grew louder, more distinct. It was the unmistakable sound of a train whistle, long, mournful, and haunting. Jacob quickly checked the recorder. The device was picking up the sound, but it registered no source. No trains had run through Hollow Creek in over 80 years. The tracks beyond the station led nowhere, ending abruptly in a tangle of weeds and broken rails. Is someone playing a prank? He wondered aloud, but his voice faltered as the rumbling began. The ground beneath his feet vibrated, faintly at first, then more intensely. The sound of wheels clattering on iron rails filled the air, as if a massive locomotive was speeding toward the station. Jacob aimed his flashlight toward the tracks. The beam cut through the fog but illuminated nothing. No train, no lights. Just the sound growing louder and louder, deafening in its intensity. The vision. Suddenly the fog parted. Jacob gasped. The ghostly silhouette of a steam locomotive materialized on the tracks. Its massive frame shimmered like heat waves, translucent yet undeniably there. The engine's wheels turned, sparks flying as if they struck real metal. Through the windows of the passenger cars, Jacob could see figures, shadowy, indistinct forms staring out with hollow eyes. The whistle screamed again, a sound so piercing it rattled Jacob's teeth. He stumbled backward, his flashlight falling from his hand. The train roared past him, impossibly fast, the cold wind it generated cutting through his jacket like knives. And then it was gone. The passengers. Jacob scrambled to his feet, heart pounding. He grabbed the flashlight and shone it around frantically. The station was silent once more, the fog creeping back to fill the void. But as he turned toward his recorder, he froze. On the platform, where moments ago there had been nothing, now stood a single suitcase. It was old and battered, the leather peeling and the metal clasps tarnished. Cautiously, Jacob approached. The tag on the suitcase read, Eleanor R. Finch, Hollow Creek. Departure, 12:01 a.m. Jacob's pulse quickened. Eleanor Finch was one of the passengers who had died in the infamous derailment of 1943. The train, overloaded with passengers and running behind schedule, had careened off the tracks just past the station, killing everyone aboard. He reached for the suitcase, but as his fingers brushed the handle, the whistle blew again. This time, it was right behind him. The chase. Jacob turned to see the ghost train barreling toward him, its spectral light illuminating the platform. He ran, adrenaline pumping, but the platform seemed endless, stretching far beyond its physical limits. The train's rumble grew louder, the whistle shrieking like a banshee. Just as the locomotive was about to overtake him, Jacob leaped off the platform and into the woods. He tumbled down an embankment, landing hard on frozen ground. When he looked up, the station was gone. In its place was an open field, the tracks leading to nowhere. The reflection. Jacob sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the empty field. His mind raced to piece together what he had witnessed. The ghost train, the passengers, the suitcase. Were they remnants of a tragedy doomed to replay for eternity? Or had he been drawn into something darker, something that didn't want him to leave? Finally, he gathered his equipment and trudged back to his car, every step feeling heavier than the last. The night's events replayed in his mind, vivid and unshakable. He knew he'd never forget the hollow eyes of the passengers or the cold wind of the ghost train roaring past. As he reached his car, he noticed scratches etched into the frost on his windows. They formed words. Next time, don't run. The recording hours. Later, Jacob stumbled back to his car, shaken but alive. He played back the recorder as soon as he got inside. The device had captured everything. The whistle, the rumbling, even his own terrified breathing. But as the recording ended, a voice spoke softly, chilling him to the core. Next time, don't miss the train. Jacob stared at the recorder, his mind racing. He had come seeking proof of the supernatural. He had found it, and it had almost claimed him. As he drove away from Hollow Creek, he glanced in the rearview mirror. The fog clung to the road like a shroud, but just for a moment, he thought he saw the faint glow of a train's headlight in the distance, chasing him down the road. Jacob's hands tightened on the wheel. He pressed the accelerator, determined never to look back. The aftermath. In the weeks that followed, Jacob became consumed by his experience. He pored over historical records, desperate to uncover more about the ill-fated train and its passengers. Eleanor Finch's name appeared repeatedly in old newspapers, a schoolteacher traveling home to Hollow Creek for the holidays. But there was something else. Reports of other investigators who had gone to the station and vanished without a trace. Jacob's blog post about Hollow Creek went viral, drawing attention from skeptics and believers alike. But despite the fame, Jacob felt no satisfaction. He avoided the emails from thrill seekers, asking for the station's location. One night, as he worked late in his office, the lights flickered. His computer screen froze, then went black. A single message appeared, typed out letter by letter. You can't outrun us forever. Jacob's blood ran cold. He spun around, heart racing, but the room was empty. He quickly shut down his computer and left the office. But as he walked to his car, he heard it again. The whistle, faint but unmistakable, carried on the winter wind. Jacob Mercer disappeared 2 weeks later. His car was found abandoned near Hollow Creek, the keys still in the ignition. On the passenger seat lay a single suitcase, its tag reading, Eleanor R. Finch, Hollow Creek, departure 12:01 a.m. Thank you for joining me on this chilling journey through the haunted tracks of Hollow Creek. If this story gave you goosebumps, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss another tale from the shadows. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the past doesn't stay buried.